Nice. All right.
Welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib. Hope everybody's having an enjoyable week. It's been a relatively light release in regards to content. So we're gonna try and review some things that happened last week that I still think are relatively unresolved, but I'm joined by Senior Daniel.
Hello, everyone.
And Two Doors.
Science.
So I guess we'll get to it in a minute. Does anybody have anything they'd like to start with?
I'll just get straight to the slides, I guess.
Okay.
I still hate skirmish.
Yeah. I do feel like I'm taking more damage this time than I was last time. But I will go ahead and start the slides. And here we go. Our favorite bug fixes. They fixed an issue where limited blueprints would not accurately display their available amount for some users. I don't have that problem that I know of. I'm not sure. Anybody else run into that problem?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Fix a number of hive nodes that prevented users from linking up. And again, not an issue that concerns me. Anybody else?
No.
All right, here's the big issue. Fixed how UV chaining range is displayed in the stat block when multiple components with chaining range are equipped. That's great. It's not really multiple. It's one. And yeah, I mean, this was the issue with the newest special, where it showed you when you're building your ship in your dock that if you added the 70 and the 50 for UAV chaining range, you got 150. And in reality, you get whatever the larger number is. So I don't know. I wish they'd explain that a little bit better. But yeah, it's whatever the larger number is. So the ship, the Skyfire has a chaining range of 70. The Special has a chaining range of 50. So the 70 eats the 50, and you have 70, not 120 anymore. Unless, does somebody know better? Can you equip multiple components that add chaining range? I think they pretty much block each other, don't they?
They should.
Yeah, I don't think you can, so I guess we'll move on. Like I said, there's limited, this is all that was released besides the bug fixes was a few reruns of, or continuations of time-limited campaigns. And there was some gobbledygook about, changing the multiplier on a 47 stronghold, and I'm not sure if somebody's hitting a 47. Is it a stronghold or what is it now? As far as the FM targets,
research garrison.
Research garrisons. Yeah. So they've added a blitz feature into one, and they reduced the cost. But these are like 40 and 67, 47 and 67. So I'm not sure that those people are paying for blitzing, but I could be wrong. If you're hitting at that level, it seems like you're not getting a lot of bang for your buck.
Well, I mean, it's probably really cheap to implement the blitz now. They probably made like a template, and they can throw it in and use it without much cost, and anything they can do to get a little more money, I guess they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels a little bit misleading on that because it feels like this is something that seems reasonable to do. I don't even know the cost, and I can only imagine the points payout the cost per gold in regards to points in the FM. So, alrighty. But endgame, fuel tank, definitely get it. It's a great splash special that you can throw on tons of different turrets, and you know, because this will stack with multiples. This also with the sulfide deployer, and you can get some crazy splash numbers if you want. They've raised the 2-day structure build token temporarily to 5, as I recall. And the oppressor has its uses, especially with the new Voltron node. Anything else anybody has to say about endgame?
It's assault based, so if you've been keeping up on your raid fleets for this current raid cycle, you should do fantastic. My raid fleet's pretty much done, and I did all 3 levels without stopping for like 8 minutes repair total.
Okay.
So you should be able to do that. And the last, well, I haven't done the 5th target, but the 4th target is a base. You can use Mudgluts. I believe Liberator was the previous one. So if you have Liberators, you would use those to win the Oppressor.
Okay. Did you try with Mudgluts? I haven't done this one yet because...
Yeah, I did the 4th target with Mudgluts. It was easy. I don't know about the 5th one. I haven't tried that, but it's probably easy
okay.
too.
Because I know they updated some of them. And does your... What is the cloaking efficiency on your Mudglut? Do you recall?
90.
Okay, because that has Mimicus?
Yeah, the thing is, there's only thermal in these bases. There's no sonar. So
okay, because I know I forget which one, but there was a TLC not too long ago where they had the sonar turrets in there.
The one for the incinerator had a couple of sonar transformers.
Yeah. So that makes a difference, and sometimes they change things, like I think they did in the Skyfire campaign, but we'll get to that.
The second run through for gluttonies, they changed stuff in that too.
Okay.
Like baller throwers.
And we're going to get into the Survivor a little bit, but the Plunder campaign's out. And the Survivor is, it's definitely all that you want to get. Like I said, not just because of the new rivals, Voltron effect, or whatever we want to call it, but it's a good defensive haul. I really wish there was another cannon for it, but you know, and the Emancipator turret is, I don't know. It's hard to tell which turrets actually work nowadays. This one, in theory, looks like it works, but I don't know. Does anybody else have any opinions on the Emancipator?
I've heard good things about it. It is a bit unfortunate. You'll need crits. I mean, that's why there's EM rails, but it's very strong. The Survivor, don't you have another gun? It's the Penance Cannon.
The Penance, yeah.
Do you have the Millennium gun for buildings and the Penance gun for ships?
Yeah, well, the Penance came out with the Justice, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty, and let's get into the Survivor a little bit. It's interesting because it has... Well, should we get into the duplicate ore cap issue at this point? Those in the audience. Okay, we have the duplicate ore cap of 1 for... This is the new Voltron effect. which adds 2,100 or 21,000 penetrating deflection. Has a duplicate aura cap of 1. Then we have a bloodthirst. And so that duplicate aura cap means that it can only impact one ship. Right?
Yes. Oh.
Yeah. And then we have the bloodthirst.
I think it means.
I mean, only one ship can be. A ship can only be impacted once by this aura.
Yes.
Yeah, two survivors does not give you 42,000. You only get one.
Okay, and then we have the. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm confused on some of this as far as because they appear to be different. And then we have the rivals bloodthirst. We have a duplicate aura cap of 5, which doesn't mean it can be impacted 5 times by 5 auras. As in this instance where it was 1 time for the aura, because otherwise you would have a 450% ballistic damage multiplier and a 300% ballistic reload if you had 5 of them in the fleet. And yeah, the combat speed would also be pretty silly. So, okay, so this means 5 ships can be impacted by 1 getting bloodthirst, or by 5 can be impacted by bloodthirst being achieved, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
No, it means that one will affect all 5 ships in the fleet.
Okay. As opposed to this one, the duplicate aura cap on the one on the left-hand side.
Oh, no, I said it wrong. It means that one will you could have 5 of the same, and they will all affect the ships.
Well, because every aura is called Rivals Bloodthirst.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a dual meaning. The Rivals Bloodthirst aura, like this survivor hull, can affect up to 5 ships as long as they have Rivals Bloodthirst. And if they
okay, and there's 5 rivals ships, and they each have a Rivals Bloodthirst, and you can have 5 of them impact a single ship, but they have to all be different ones.
My meaning kind of broke down.
No, you're confusing. I think you're confusing me as well.
That was actually about. That was what I was going to say, and then I stopped because I realized that I don't think that's actually right.
What I think is that that one will affect, like, you could have that same aura 5 times. So that means you could have 5 in the fleet, 5 survivors, and that all 5 will have that aura.
No, that's wrong. Because otherwise, that's what I was just explaining. The ballistic damage will go up to 450%. The ballistic reload is 300. I don't think, and the combat speed would be, you couldn't even keep that thing on the map if you had a 390% combat speed boost. That's not happening. So it means that you can get Rivals Bloodthirst 5 times, but you have to have 5 different Rivals Bloodthirsts. But Brian, you were saying you don't think that's the case?
It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, if you kill some,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The whole thing's, yeah, like if you kill something with this, everything gets a stack, but they each only get what their own ship defines as bloodthirst. Like you don't get the Liberator's ballistic deflection and the Incinerator's whatever damage thingy that it has. They each get their own bonuses. So I was like, oh yeah, they all combine together, but no, because that would be pointless and stupid. Like this survivor doesn't get the Incinerator's damage buffs or whatever. They each just get their own. So that's
they do?
Thought it.
I mean, see,
no, they don't.
Okay,
I wish they would explain that. That would be great.
Yeah, because the reason I'm doing all this, and probably the people in chat and whatnot, they're like, I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to show everybody that the way things are currently put together, it's extremely confusing if you try to read the blueprint and try to understand the impacts that these are having, because they've never really been truly explained to any of us, and some of them just don't make any sense. And they need to put some thought into how to make this sense, how to have this make sense, and quit reusing the same words over and over again for what appears to be very different reasons. And
we haven't even gotten to the last instance of duplicate aura cap on this blueprint.
Yeah, because I did them in this order, because the last one, there's a potential that it could be either one of them. You know, because the ballistic damage buff of 75%, that's not outlandish, or even explosive perfection of 10,000. That's not, or splash damage reduction of 50%. Those aren't outlandish. So I'm not sure which one to pick by looking at these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had an initial explanation when the icebreakers were, or was that the cannoneers? Well, either way, they function basically the same, wherein they would stack if you had the similar ships in the fleet, and you got like a little bit of speed and a little bit of defense, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and those function similar to the duplicate aura cap in the bottom right. And then there was a bigger confusion with the Phoenix, because a lot of those statistics were so small that it stood to reason that they would be duplicate aura cap of 5 like the icebreakers were, because they were very small bonuses. But then the combat speed and turn speed were large, and it turns out that that was only duplicate aura cap of 1, but it didn't necessarily affect itself. Like, they're screwing this all up. And it's really, really annoying to try to grasp, what stacks, what doesn't, what's the benefit of running 5 of one type versus 1 of all of them. And I think throwing this Rivals Bloodthirst in, like, that itself is actually pretty easy to understand, but it feels like another layer of complexity that was pretty unnecessary and probably broke something, because it's a new thing in this game.
Yeah, we all love new mechanics, because they always work right away. That's why we, you see the forum, people are just like, bring us a new mechanic. It's really what we want. But yeah, it's so Brian, you don't think that as far as the Bloodthirst goes, like Rivals Bloodthirst, you don't think it's shared? You don't think if like one's, I think it is shared. That like if whatever the Liberator gets, it would be shared with the Survivor as far as like deflections and other things. It may not be as applicable, but
I think that would be actually ridiculous. Like, that would be amazing, and that's a lot of deflections, because each hull has generally 2 or sometimes even 3 kinds of deflection that they get off of Bloodthirst. And I know this hull doesn't necessarily have that, but it makes up for that in its little aura in the bottom right, and it gives different buffs to everything. And because, like, you have an incinerator, right? I believe one of its Bloodthirst buffs is thrower damage or something to that effect, radioactive damage in some form. And it doesn't make any sense for that sort of buff to be put onto a Survivor, because a Survivor is meant for cannons. And in addition, those 10-ish different kind of Bloodthirst top of each other would actually make this fleet completely nuts. Dang it, game.
Yeah, but that's the assumption that we were talking about last week, that they do share. And
they share stacks on kills.
Okay, but they don't share the stats.
I don't think that they do. No, I think that there's that rivals only duplicate aura cap. They get that, and they get their own deflections and their own version of bloodthirst. And if something like the survivor's bottom right, the corrosive explosive, that aura, they'll get that too, because that's just shared with every conqueror hull. But I don't think they'd get other people's bloodthirst. Let's see what it is. Oh, slow and stun resist. Oh, launcher supercharge. What's bloodthirst give it? Yeah, radioactive damage and reload. The rival's bloodthirst and the incinerator.
Because a lot of them are, I think they all do share, even though they've never told us that. Just because besides the deflections, a lot of them don't really impact the other ships in a positive way because they already have built-in hull bonuses for attack that would supersede, you know, okay, well, I'm getting a radioactive reload bonus on my survivor. You know, maybe I should put, you know, launchers on it or throwers, but it's still with the range, reload, and damage bonuses, accuracy, you know, it's getting all these bonuses that would overcome anything that you got through bloodthirst in regards to an attack mechanism. The big one of concern is the is this one right here. Is the duplicate aura of cap of bloodthirst for plus 75 combat speed. I don't have all of them. Let me go see if I can find the people in. Does anybody have this? Are they all getting plus 75 combat speed? Because that's the easiest one to tell. If they all speed up, and that's the one that makes the most sense.
I think I mean I see what you mean. I'm saying that it doesn't make any sense for them to benefit, and you'll never see them. And then, but if you never see them, how would you know? And Survivor's is the easy one to test, but I mean, I don't think it gains the benefits of other rivals' bloodthirst, but it would gain the stacks.
Yeah, then it's even more complicated, and you know, it'd be nice if they would explain this. So they're not speeding up. I think they were, but it's broken. See, that's the problem. Is it's you know, things are coming out and they're not working the way they're supposed to, and we don't know exactly what's going on. Like, you know, an example is we go all the way back to bug fixes. You know how the UAV chaining range is displayed. You know, they showed us that. They showed us it was 120. People built based on that. But they haven't even fixed the cesium scarab, which is supposed to add 100 deflection of each damage type to whatever it's equipped with. But it does not show that on the hull when it's built. And that problem's been going on for 8 months. And I really don't know what to think about that. You know, if they haven't fixed it in 8 months, even though customer support is telling you, oh, it is, you are getting that. Why is it not reflected anywhere? Because, you know, it's reflected if you put on a pen plate on, but if you put a cesium scarab UAV that says plus 100 ballistic deflection, it doesn't add plus 100 ballistic deflection to whatever you put it on. So they just need to get their shit straight with the blueprints and what's displayed. And you know, I think the cesium scarab being messed up for 8 months is not good. So is this what we were on? Okay, we were on the next one. Alrighty. Okay, but despite all the problems, I would recommend everybody get this one. It's you know, it's the one that adds multiples, and you know, I think we added more confusion because you know, this one says it's going to impact all the ships, and nobody seems to know. Oh wow.
That corrosive deflection, I think, is the biggest. Well, one of the biggest reasons people get it. They just added the rivals only aura, but The corrosive deflection combined with turret defense and the splash damage reduction of a pride means you basically get to laugh at that venom spitter or whatever turret, which is one of its only weaknesses. And with the Visaga's pride, it's got radioactive and just too much good stuff.
All right, let's move on to Skyfire TLC. Because I'm getting, it just seems simple that, that they could explain this kind of stuff in some way. There's some people that build their ships like, oh, if somebody has a good build, let's go get it and copy it and let's go smash it up. And there's some people that are like, okay, I'm going to try and figure out a good build and then go smash it up. But it's relies too much on somebody spending weeks building something and whatnot and not being able to trust what's in the blueprint or even be able to understand it in regards to consistency.
And the vast majority of the players, they're not on these pages. They're not watching these videos. They don't know. All they have is what the game tells them.
Yeah.
And if you can't trust what the game tells you, either through just repeated simple clerical errors or some greater level of incompetence, then what are you doing? It's incredibly difficult to even play if you're not really sure what's going on. And especially when after the class system and all these things where they're kind of expecting a higher level of polish out of what the players build and how the players drive, and they're giving us incorrect information, it just becomes incredibly difficult to the point of unfair, punishingly unfair. Well, punishingly unfair, yes, but it's not our fault that you can't get your shit together. So, our ships do well in practice, they're able to do the targets, but just imagine if you were unable to complete a target based on a hidden stat that you had no idea was there. Like if they just screwed up on a 0 somewhere, and you're like, oh, everything's going to be fine. They just screwed it up and it made it impossible. That would be terrible. Thankfully, they haven't done that yet. Still,
don't throw me into that laughing, coughing fit I had. Forget what you did. How you did that
the other week.
yeah.
Still hate skirmish targets. Still hate the lack of stacking, the incredibly close range that they ask you to be in. Just infuriating.
All right, now we're on this Skyfire TLC, which Prize Pack 1 and Prize Pack 2 are, easy to accomplish with a halfway decent garrison fleet. Prize Pack 3 is a whole different ball of wax from what I've heard. I've been delaying it, been dreading it, because at one point I realized I had been refitting some ships, and based on my Zealous as my only flag, and then realized once I put my gridiron on there, I was 60 tons overweight, and you're going to probably need your gridiron unless you have multiple Zelo stacks. So I'm waiting for some refits to get done so I can shave 60 tons off of that fleet. But I know Daniel, you have some recent experience with Prize Pack 3.
Yeah, I did the first few until the number 6 and 7. They're pretty easy on damage, and then once you get to 6, the damage is incredibly. It gets incredibly high. I lost my whole icebreaker fleet on 6, and I had to use a tank with monolith to do the last one.
What did you use for 1 through 5?
I alternated between the two. The first one I did with icebreaker, second one with the monolith and gridiron. the gridiron, and I used a lot of the gridiron monolith through the beginning, and then number 6 I used icebreakers and lost them, and then I went into the last one. I used the Zelos tank with monoliths. So I basically used 2 tanks and a whole icebreaker fleet, 20 hours damage.
Well then, all for UAV targeting circuitry and some XP and some build tokens. I mean,
but that was
this was equivalent. Go ahead.
That was coin free. I mean, that's if you're gonna do it coin free. If you have coins, of course, all you have to do is just coin it, and then.
I'm considering blowing a BB crew on it, but I don't really want to build the Skyfire carriers. But they keep expecting us to build the second set of hulls. I don't know. Price Pack 3 was equivalent to Call to Arms Icebreaker level 4. And I guess now they made it harder, which I don't get it. Because, once again, our ships didn't get any better. We didn't get, like, the second level of charged armor. We didn't get another rocket. We didn't get another mortar. Like, the tech we had the last time we ran this is the tech that we have this time we ran this. I mean, I guess if you won the X-Charged Armors, you could put more X-Charged Armors on there. But I was looking at TSM live stream of this, and everything was eating him up. And he had 2 of each charged armor on it. Like, it was the best that you could build no matter what. And it was still getting chewed up. And I don't understand why they're making it so much harder to do these things without the proper tech by completely changing the mechanics of the raids. And then they put these campaigns out to try to get this tech into players' hands because they need them, because they can't use the old tech due to the different mechanics and the tuned damage that's tuned for the next tier up. So you're going to get shredded. I mean, the B set, and probably by extension the C set for the last raid, was very poorly tuned because of all the things they had to do in the middle of the raid to try to entice players grinding B sets to come back. I don't think any of those changes were necessarily levied towards people doing the A set. If you were doing A sets well, you could have gotten the Phoenix, etc. pretty easily. The 5 million point change wasn't much for you, but it was much for the middles. And the S set wasn't touched because it seemed pretty well balanced. You take some damage, but not a whole lot, and you could cut that down, etc. So you try to make this stuff accessible, but you fail because you make it too hard for the people that need to get this tech to get this tech. And we're not talking about, you know, John Smith and his Zelos-led Citadels failing. We're talking about the Delos, best tank in the game, built a specific way with monoliths, you know, armed to the teeth, the best mortars, charged armor, best specials, the best everything that you can get, and they're just failing. And the icebreakers that you want to choose, and they're also failing. Again, it was, what, 2 tanks and a whole fleet, and I'm sure you got some damage on your backline of monoliths to complete this coin free. So you can't really say that this is to put the tech in players' hands because you've put it so notoriously out of a lot of their reach. And it's just for a special and some build tokens and some VXP. Like, the prize doesn't warrant the damage. It's like the Incinerator Mastery rounds. The prizes are too poor for the damage that we're being dealt, and a lot of people won't do it instead of necessarily throwing coins at it. Yes, you can come out ahead monetarily, but it's frustrating as well, so you might not want to.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I've noticed with the Skyfire campaign is they have been rotating the locations of the real prizes. The Skyfire carrier, the Bandit Hornet used to be prize pack 1 all by itself, and the Skyfire carrier was in prize pack 2. So maybe there's a chance the next time they rerun this, that the UAV targeting circuitry would be prize pack 2 and the Bandit Hornet would be prize pack 3. And so therefore they're giving away the tech, but they're still charging a high price for the 10 days of tokens.
I fully expect the Skyfire, the special, and the Bandit Hornet to come back in the raid. Maybe in the store.
Hopefully the unlocked store, yeah.
The unlocked, yeah.
It's so weird that they're charging so much for, like, this is the second tier haul.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, I don't know if their market is more the people trying to reach up but they can't get the Phoenix, so this is all they have, or the people that have been building the Phoenix but have a strong suspicion that they'll make this Skyfire fleet necessary as well in the upcoming months, and this time they have the mechanics to actually do that, as opposed to the last time where you could just Zealous monos everything and it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, if you can make it through Prize Pack 3, there's one in chat, there's one person that seems to think everything's easy, and then there's somebody else that's says they themselves coin too much. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if there's a consensus here.
Well, monetarily, if you're gonna spend, like, say, if you spend 50 coins on that last part of the TLC, right? You come up ahead because you're getting 10 days worth of tokens.
Yeah,
that's worth. What? How much is 10 days?
480.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was sort of making the suggestion earlier that if they move things around and move the UAV targeting circuitry to Prize Pack 1 or 2 in the future, it would allow everybody to obtain the technology. I don't know if that's what their plan is at this point. And and still guard the 10 days of tokens. And that would sort of makes sense to me, where if they kept the Skyfire in this position and moved the UAV targeting circuitry to Prize Pack 2, then, if we knew that was going to happen, if there was a whip or something, which I don't think we would get that detail in the whip, but it would allow people to, at a reasonable cost, get all the technology. I mean, the UAV targeting circuit, it was 8 million in the last raid, which it's not crazy expensive. I mean, it's the same cost as one charged armor. Oh, so.
Well, I would think, but
go ahead, Father George.
I would think that they would want to protect the tech more than the tokens. I mean, if this is, because this is supposed to be the second tier thing, right? This is what you want to have people get to, you know what I mean? So you want them to build this so they can participate in the raid. I would rather see the tokens in Prize Pack 2 and the tech in Prize Pack 3. Like, keep the UAV targeting circuitry where it's at. You know what I mean?
But, like, Daniel's got tons of builds. He's got, he's invested a lot in his builds, and he ended up with 20 hours of repair to do Prize Pack 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. That doesn't sound like, this is for the B-level haul. It's technology for the B-level haul, right? So he has all high-end stuff, and for the B-level haul, he's basically, shutting his whole game down for a day in order to win a special for the B haul. I don't know. Does that make sense? Hey, Rom.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
I'm doing it for the tokens because I've already had the circuitry.
Yeah.
The tokens are the things that I really wanted the most, because I'd rather have two of the same. Like, I want to have the Skyfire and the the Phoenix fleet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I think eventually we'll need to have both.
Yep. And silence.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next slide. Unless anybody had let's see. Actually, there was something earlier that I would now that we got more people on, dealing with the survivor. George, I don't know if you were listening earlier, or Rum. And George, neither one. Can you explain these duplicate aura caps to us?
I wish I could. I have a general idea, I think, of what I think it's supposed to be, but I'm not going to speak to it because I have no, I am not 100% on it. I have an idea, but I'm not 100% on it.
Because and that's some pretty sad when we depend on George to get the answer, and he doesn't have it.
I mean, it's because, I mean,
we should be dependent on the devs.
Oh, I know we should. Yeah. I just say that's where most of us get a lot of information.
So, on the one that has the duplicate aura cap of 1, it seems
that's
like
simple.
It's the
simple.
But the thing is, it doesn't affect just one ship, right? It'll affect everything, just one stack. It's
one time,
a stack, right? But with the aura cap of 5, that's not a 5 stack. You know what I mean? And then if you look at the monolith where it has a aura cap of only 4 instead of 5, I mean, I'm not sure. I would love to know, and if I get a chance,
because we're gonna have some slides that are coming up with the bloodthirst, the Rivals bloodthirst 5. My thought is, and some of the tables I'll show are based on that. It has a duplicate aura cap of 5 for Rivals bloodthirst, but there's 5 different kinds of Rivals bloodthirst.
Right.
And so that you can be impacted by Rivals bloodthirst 5 times, but there's 5 different flavors, but you can only be impacted by one flavor at a time.
Right. That's it. Yes. Correct.
Okay, Brian, you were disagreeing with me earlier on that one, right? That the Liberator bloodthirst doesn't impact the Survivor, and the Survivor doesn't impact the Liberator.
You'll get stacks together, but you'll only get your own ship's bonuses. Like your Liberator won't get combat speed and ballistic damage and turn speed and whatever, because the Survivor is in the fleet with stacks.
Yeah,
Liberator gets deflections and damages and whatever.
I need to see
that's how I think it works.
Full. Let me see a full. I have to go see a full BP.
This is a full one. This is the whole thing right here. And because this as far as moving forward and trying to understand the whole Voltron thing, this is crucial. Because if the bloodthirst don't stack, even the way that it appears to show, it's screwed up.
You guys couldn't just kind of ease me back into it. I come back to, holy crap, I gotta catch up.
No, but does anybody? I mean, yeah, and then okay. Well, we can move on, but the problem is,
one real quick statement to that fact: the bloodthirst, since it's Rivals bloodthirst, there are 5 different rival factions, but in the missive that they brought out this week about the Inquisitor, it was supposed to kind of tie everything together, and they were supposed to share. I'm getting feedback from somebody. They were supposed to share all of the bloodthirst aspects, and the Survivor was supposed to share the 21,000 pin deflection.
Yeah, that's the way I understood it, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, because it seems that Brian, and I'm not sure where George is on this issue, because I've been putting slides together based on the fact that they share
the The 21,000 pen deflection on the survivor is on the special abilities. It's under the special abilities. I'm trying to look at some of the different bloodthirsts and see how this what would make sense.
Okay, once we get Rivals Bloodthirst, will the survivor and there's survivors in the fleet, will it give the Liberator plus 75% combat speed?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I want to say that would make sense, but
we're dealing
I'm
with
trying to remember when they originally came out. That was only to the ship itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, did you watch last night in the hits? And did you also notice that even with full stacks, the survivor didn't speed up?
I don't think George,
I have
you
to
on
do
for that?
yeah. No, I wasn't on for that. I was on for a couple of the other hits. I also had a rather interesting hit happen to me today that was a little weird. I'm trying to see where the hell is this battle log. I'll tell you, because I think possibly what's the new one, the Inquisitor.
Yep.
I think that one does not take Thorn's damage. They was sitting. I had a fleet of them with muddle missiles on them, hitting my Justice for a good 25, 30 seconds, and nothing was happening.
Did they sink any other ships during that time?
They damaged some of the other ships. The way where my Justice is, it's not really. It'll splash out, but not a lot of stuff will splash it.
If I'm recalling correctly, part of the Justice kicks in much more when a ship dies, not when it takes damage, but when it dies.
Thorns.
Yeah, but it should still be taking much damage.
Yeah, Thorns should be still doing damage. Period to it.
As I recall, doesn't the Justice attract hits once another ship dies, and then it gets a lowering of its Thorn reload or whatever at that point in time, and it does more damage. But doesn't it also act as a magnet for hits?
I can't speak to that part of it. I haven't paid attention.
It should be a magnet. I think that reduction of cooldown and increasing of time is a stackable thing based on Justices. Let me load up one. I've saved builds. I'm figuring out what do I go, Cannon Justice or Missile Justice. So I saved them in my shipyard, and I'm staring at. Well, once the game loads, I'll stare at them and be able to tell you.
Yep, I'm doing the same thing, and it's a little laggy right at the moment.
Yeah, in the flavor text it says it'll temporarily increase the likelihood of being targeted upon the death of a nearby hull, but that has nothing to do with Thorns.
Yeah, no. Okay, so typically, no, not that one.
Thorn damage, especially from the muddles. I mean, because gluts die like really, really quick hitting a Justice with muddles, and that thing didn't get any damage. I know that they are looking at a couple things. I'm not entirely sure what, but now I'm kind of curious about this bloodthirst thing because I'm.
They're looking at a couple things based on what, George? Did it happen to be anything we seen in last night?
Yes.
Was that a yes?
Yes. But the problem is, and like I told you guys last night, I was telling you on a lot of those hits, I could see what was damaging you, right?
Right.
So trying to puzzle through what actually was, because something was bugging me. I'm not sure what it was because I just couldn't see. It was too zoomed out for me a lot of times, but like I could pick up what was getting damaged and why it was getting damaged. Because I remember at one point everyone was like, "Oh, look, it died right away," and I'm like, "There's two things right on that. There's one on the island and one in the channel, and it has no deflection for that." I mean, the problem is without actually being able to see it and then have the playback to look at it, it's hard to catch what's actually happening. Which is why a lot of times everyone's like, "Oh, well, video." Video actually helps a lot in trying to determine what the hell's going on sometimes because there's so much stuff going on, especially in a base hit nowadays with all the shit that we have in our bases and all the stuff that's on those damn boats, that sometimes it's just hard to track live what's going on in the hit.
Yeah.
6-year-old flash game, etc. Looking at the blueprint, uh, the berserk, I guess, makes it more likely to be targeted. I thought that if you could target it, you had to. You get more thorns damage. You get more thorns duration, less thorns cooldown. That's part of berserk, as well as the stacking aura of the justices. But I mean, you still have thorns damage, always. So should have been taking thorns damage. And you can't stop thorns damage. There's nothing. It says ballistic, but it should just say plasma. Or just no modifier. But I don't know. Should be taking damage.
Once again, I mean,
See, so it, they said that each rival faction ship will have an aura that will empower other rival ships around it. But is that the aura at the bottom, or is that the rival bloodthirst? It doesn't say bloodthirst; it just says the aura. So I'm going to presume that bloodthirst.
I think
that
they mean
bloodthirst is. Yeah, I think that bloodthirst is just for the ship itself.
Yeah, the thing for other rivals is it's the bottom left.
Yeah, it's the bottom one.
That's yeah. Well, that's
yeah, it's these are the types of and I'm sorry I haven't been around, but I got to catch up, and these are the types of questions that are great to have, so I can when I get a chance to go through it. I mean, I'll try and write an article. I just need to know what all everybody wants to know, because I mean, so
I mean, you had this article.
I think last.
You had an article about bloodthirst.
About the bloodthirst, yeah, but that was before like the rivals thing. But I know, like I think it was last Friday's show. Like me and Hefe were talking about, whether or not this Voltron thingy is going to be, because when they first came out, the rivals was supposed to be the easier, to drive type of fleet. At least that's what we were thinking, right? And the more that I saw it, and I think I said this last week, it's going to be one of the absolutely most difficult ones to use in a base hit for a decent base, because of the way that hold on before you jump in, because I had this conversation with one of the devs, and they actually agree. It's one that's it's not going to be a click and go type of thing. This one's going to take a lot of skill in order to use it properly.
Yeah. I always get differentiated two different kinds of skill: the clicking in the right place skill versus the thought skill.
Well, this one's going to be both. I mean, part of the thing is you have to, on the fly, with this fleet, be able to dig through a base while you're in there, adapt adapt your strategy to whatever the hell you find.
Yeah.
Right away. I mean, right away. I mean, it's probably going to be one of the most challenging fleets to PvP with. I mean, honestly, it's not going to be an easy one. And I think I said this last week, and Rum, no offense, man, but this is what you were doing. Last week I specifically said, you can't just take them in and shoot one down a channel at a time, because it's not going to work like that. And it didn't. I mean, that's what was happening yesterday. So I'm without, like I said, without being able to see it all, I can't tell you that it's not working as intended. But I know that I had an off feeling for some of the hits. Some of them I completely saw what was going on.
It's weird because, I mean, it feels like it should be more powerful than it was in practice, especially after you add in all the rivals only auras. I think one of the interesting things is Rum encountered a base that had like 8 or 9 hyenas or something like that. And it was a good chuckle, and a lot of his other ships died, but the survivor made it pretty much through the channel until it got to some throwers. And it gets you to thinking, wherein you might want to, like, after you look at a base, you might want to have 2 of every ship ready to go, such that if you swap out something that was weak against pen and swap in a survivor, then you could send a survivor up the lane, up the channel, and still have another survivor out there, so that when the first one dies, everything else still has 21,000 pen deflection.
Right.
Because that other one's still alive.
But
and
that's the way I did things most of the time last night. Was a survivor was the last boat to go in, because it seemed like Pin was doing the most damage to everything.
Yeah, but the thing is too, like in that particular instance, I know it's a bit niche, but the survivor was also easily the best equipped to run up the channel. Like there was 21,000 pen deflection, and I think that particular fleet.
I think what I think Brian's trying to say is that you can't expect to take in one of each for a 5 fleet and be able to pull it off. Like a lot of times you're gonna have to have like 3 of them and then 2 dupes. You know what I mean? You have to. It's a mix and match to kind of get into whatever base you find.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the way this was all rolled out was that the strongest you could have were all 5 together. This was, I mean, and I've seen people do hits with 2 Inquisitors and 3 Oppressors and different combinations, but the way that it was rolled out was that adding the Inquisitor ties it all together.
They said that if you had 5 in a fleet, they would be like some of the strongest fleets possible, and that's probably true. If you can adapt and do, like, I mean, I think it's one of those things where you have to be able to do like all the check marks for it to work right. And if you're off by just even a little bit, because like I said, I think I said last week, you know, sometimes you're going to get into a base where you're going to have to go in halfway and then turn back around with like one of the ships, come back in with another one and turn around. Like it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to just use one ship to lead. You have to actually kind of adapt and change what you're driving as you're going. So I would not be surprised if for something like this to work well, you might have to go in with the Liberator for like the first quarter of the channel, have like say an Incinerator behind it, and one of them turns around and leaves while the other one goes in, and then you're going to be, it's going to be one of these crazy ass driving things that is. Yeah,
but you saw last night, you don't have time to do that. I mean, number one, how many times did you get down to the end and it timed out before the hit was even through?
And that's why I'm saying, but Kev, that's why I'm saying it's one of those high-end, skillful, like, you got to be in the top like 1% to be able to use this to its potential. I mean, no kidding.
But all right, so we get that the whole line of hulls that require a lot of skill, but when you require only one hull to just get through any base, which is the Visago Pride mm-hmm. with 3 prides,
right?
And a survivor.
Yeah. And all you really need is those, and you basically get into any base.
No, that's not true.
I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
that. I
that's
wouldn't
not
say
true.
That. People are already adapting to that. People have been trying to adapt to it since the raid, I guess. When did we get it?
And that's
raid? It's been 2. I think it's been 2, maybe
2
3
raids.
months.
I mean, I've seen them fail. I've seen some very interesting combinations as well, and that wasn't the interesting combinations. I mean, there was a Visago, there was 2 more prides, and then there's way different things that follow those 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just saying with this, like, like Kevin, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we did last night, it was, you took the first ship in and you just ran the channel. And the problem is, like, say with the Liberator, you ran the channel, you got up to some Emancipators, the Liberator died. And that makes sense. Because it has crap for ballistic deflection. You know what I mean? If you're going to run into some Emancipators, you're going to die. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have one of each in the fleet or not. If you had stopped, turned around, and then brought something in like the Incinerator to take out those turrets, and then left and then had something else behind it, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that it's going to be one of those things where you're going to be clicking buttons like, those friggin' Korean
StarCraft 2.
Yeah, StarCraft 2. That's exactly what I was thinking. Brood War.
200 APM, let's go.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be clicking the keyboards like those guys.
This game can't handle 200 APM.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying, is like, that's it. This is one of those things that I think that's how it's supposed to work, or that's how it's going to end up working. I don't know if that's what they intended, but I think that's how it's going to end up working. And I don't know how well the community is going to handle that, because like Kevin said, when they first said, when they first started telling us about this, they said having, one of each or having these combinations are going to be really powerful. It's going to be something like, top of the tier 6 stuff or so. I don't know what the hell they said. They said something where it sounded like it was going to be like badass. And that's great. And they're going to be badass. But if it's only badass for like, half a percentage or 1% of the player community, that's a whole nother story. So because we got two different things now. Now we have the how's it work, and then we have is this right? I don't know what the hell which ones you guys want to talk about, but
yeah,
both of them are there. Both of those subjects.
Personally, it comes down to there's a lack of information to form proper expectations.
Yeah, true.
I think that's accurate. I think that's probably a very accurate statement. If we had, I hesitate to say transparency because I don't know that this is really a transparency thing. I think it's more of just
communication.
Just not enough. Like we had some communication. I just don't know that it was clear communication. You know what I mean? So,
George, we haven't had clear communication in this game.
You know what I mean?
The last 2 years,
within context of how what we're used to and stuff. I mean, and usually, we get some previews, and a lot of times we'll get some videos, and a lot of times we'll have a blog. But this time we haven't had much anything.
Well, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to add something to it that we've all talked about many, many, many times, and it's almost content overload to where even the programmers don't know how some of this stuff is supposed to work. They just throw it out there and try to let us figure it out, and that's not right.
I don't know if it's content overload or if it's complexity overload.
It's both.
I think it's complexity overload. I mean, it's gotten it within the last the last 6, 7, 8 months. It's gotten the depth of complexity has increased a lot in this game.
Now maybe it's a twofold problem, but if they slowed down on the introductions, we would have more time to work on figuring out the complexity. As it is, things are coming out and they're all complex and they all demand time to figure it out, but you don't have it because you're moving on to the next fleet.
Well, I think part of that is because they reacted to our lack of trust in them early in the year, right? Because all this stuff, all the Rivals crap was supposed to be out way before this, right? So we would have seen it all and then figured it out since then to now. And instead, because they were really dumping a lot of stuff on us all at once, they slowed down the content because we were like, way too much crap, not realizing that it was supposed to be together. And that's, again, that goes back to communication, and that's communication on both ends. Because like we flipped our shit because there was a lot of crap coming out. Everybody was pissed. I was pissed. Everybody was pissed at all the stuff that was coming out, But if they had said, hey, you know what? Just don't build the stuff. Just let it come out, and you'll understand in like a month and a half why it's like this. Or even come out and explained it then, and said, hey, we're coming out with this thing and it's going to be like freaking Voltron. So that's why it's coming out in the crazy way that it's coming out. Something. And instead we just ended up with this jumble of hodgepodge releases that has just confused the hell out of everybody, including me. I mean, shit. I don't know. I don't want to say that it's a bad day in hell when I can't figure it out, but I mean, I kind of expect, I have a self-expectation that I can figure this crap out pretty easy, and it's not happening right now.
George, you're not alone. I mean, that's the way the majority of us that have played to the levels that we're at expect it to be. And now it's just completely and totally overwhelming. I mean, we can't sit here between 5 of us or 6 of us and say, okay, this is what should happen, because it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Rum's right. We can't figure out what is intentional and what's an oversight, because there's a lack of communication on a vision.
Exactly. And we don't know what's supposed to work. We don't know how it's supposed to. I don't mind figuring some things out. Give me one variable. Don't give me 15 variables.
Yeah, because we couldn't even agree on the how the bloodthirst deflection works across these.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure looking at it now, looking through it all, I'm pretty sure that it's just supposed to apply to that ship itself. Now, the problem with that is it should have been a little bit more clear. Like, I mean, all they had to do is add a sentence. All they had to do is add a sentence at the bottom of that and say that bloodthirst affects, the ship itself only. I mean,
this affects, and then put the name in. But then it doesn't, why is the res kappa or the aura kappa 5 even in there?
Well, why is it called Voltron? Because the picture that they put out there was you slap different parts of the robot together and it makes a super robot.
I mean, the aura cap thing, there's so many inconsistencies throughout where they use that and how many is listed and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know why. That's one of those things that, we want stuff in the blueprint so we can see it and we have access to it. But damn, that one's one that I'm just like, I don't know if y'all should have put that in there because I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like this was sold to us as you put one of each of them in, you spec them out, your Jack of all trades, your Jack plus of all trades, a little better than, all that. And then that it was skillless, well, not skillless, but a little easier, kind of how people used to blitz down the channel, kind of like Rum was doing. It was just told to us like, yeah, you put one of each in, you do have to pick and choose which one, and positioning is obviously important, but I think that would have kind of been the end of it. Like,
yeah, but
it would have been really difficult to actually like go in and get the first two turrets with this thing, and then move it around and back out, switch holes, take another one because you're still taking fire from like.
But you can't do that. Yeah, you die.
You can't. Hold on, because I've driven like that, and you can as long as you have the other one already behind it coming up, and then you turn the other one out and you pull the other one in front of it, so that's taking the hits instead. I mean, it's okay, like when you dummy up.
Time out, George. Time out. A lot of our weapons that we're using, and this has all been happening in the last 6 months, are splash based. If you get a fraction too close, you're going to take splash damage and lose those boats.
That's part of the skill thing.
That's not a part of the skill thing. You can't drive close, but not take splash damage.
It depends. What's hitting you with splash damage? Like if you're going in with the Liberator at first and then you're coming in behind it from the Incinerator, what's going to give you the splash damage? The explosive?
I mean, if you're going to sit there with something behind and the guy's got cat morts in there, the cat morts are going to land and just decimate everything.
Okay. So you bring in the stuff that, I mean, it just depends on what you're hitting. I mean, this is part of the whole dissecting the target thing. It's not going to be old school base hitting with this. This is a completely different mindset of base hitting. And the problem is that
was looking at a base with a gunboat to figure out what was going on. Then we got up with the spamming gunboats, and it's getting more frustrating than it's worth dealing with. You can complex yourself. You can complex yourself out of an income, is what you can do.
That might be true. That might be true. I mean, I think the biggest thing is that the different style that this is going to require should have been made very clear. I mean, that one, it should have been made very clear. And I think part of the problem is a lot of people. I mean, hell, until I started really looking at the hits last night, I didn't even realize that this is gonna I kind of did when we were talking about it last Friday, but until I actually saw it, like it definitely is going to be a different type of base hitting. I mean, it's going to be almost like when, I'm trying to remember what the hell we used to do this with. We would go in and we would have something be like a dummy ship at first. You'd sneak a couple behind, and then you'd have a second dummy ship. The first dummy ship would come in with the rest of the fleet, and you'd kind of like leapfrog into the base. That's kind of what I think this is what this is going to require, is that you play leapfrog with your fleet to get in. I think that's what this is going to need. And if that means that, I'm not sure what splash weapons other than the cats are going to be a problem, but the cats, you got the survivor with the CM range and the CM bonuses. I mean, it's one of those things that it's now where you're not designing. I think part of the thing is you're not designing just one boat Like when you do the prides, right? The prides are essentially the same build. You might have a little tweak here or there, but the pride's going to be essentially the same build going in. These you actually have to tune for each ship to be able to do its part in the base hit, which makes
what?
it
Then
even
they
more
should have
complex.
released everything. They should have released everything totally instead of giving us a piece here and a piece there and a piece over here.
Well, they were trying. They were trying, and
I don't know about that.
I mean, they were. I mean, what they should have done is probably saved the 7 deadly sins for after and done like this in the beginning of the year and the 7 deadly sins in the second half. I mean, you know,
or merely explain what was going on.
Well, yeah, that's what I said earlier. It would have been great if
if they just explained it, just as opposed to writing cryptic notes and whatnot, just explain the way it was supposed to work.
So
I mean, if they
basically, your escalation. Talk about your escalation again. You get a fleet built. Here comes an escalation. So now they're going to give an escalation weapon and special for every single freaking boat.
Don't get me started with that. That's going to get old like last month.
I mean, you saw how many tokens I went through last night refitting for what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't get enough tokens to do this crap. And I'm sorry. There aren't that many guys out there that are going to coin the way they want to have it coined.
And that's the other thing is, in order to try and figure some of this stuff out, and because it wasn't clear, at the beginning of the year when they probably should have let us know, right? It wasn't clear since then. It wasn't clear when all of these came out. It's still unclear. I mean, it's still unclear. And for us to spend, I mean, like I don't want to say how much, I mean, you spent coin last night. You spent a ton of tokens. You refit on the fly to builds that I gave you, and I mean, that's just for us to figure out how the stuff works. That's kind of not. That's not. I don't expect I expect to try and figure stuff out in a game, but that's not the kind of stuff that I expect to have to figure out in a game on the fly when it costs money to. I mean, I don't know.
It was 20 to.
I'm
40,
very torn. I'm very
$20
torn
to $40 worth of coin, and I think I probably used 30 days worth of build tokens.
A lot of tokens, yeah. I mean, and that was just.
And you know what? We didn't figure anything out last night, other than it sucks.
Well, now hold on now, because you guys all disagreed with me because I was telling you I saw what was going on. There were a couple of things that were bothering me. I just think that it was just the way that the hits were going and the way that some of those bases were set up. I don't think this is the super Voltron fleet like we were thinking. Okay, collectively we were thinking something completely different than what is actually happening. Right? But when I was watching, especially when you zoomed in, because I couldn't see half of it when you weren't. When you were zoomed in and I could see what was going on, I could see what was killing the ships as they were going in, and then you'd lose that. You lost that bonus when that ship died, and you'd bring something else in. You know what I mean?
Hey, you're going to lose. You're going to lose a boat. You're going to lose more than one boat when you're doing this, because you go in, you start taking. The shockwave damage happens so fast and eats up so much of the ship that you don't have time to turn it around and get it out before it takes another deadly hit. Especially when you're dealing with the critical hits, crit hits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got something out there that does 300% crit hit. You're going to lose a boat. I'm sorry. You don't have enough time to turn around and get it out of range, especially at 175 range.
Right, and you don't want to. I mean, you don't want to. I guess turning around and getting out of range is not exactly the way that I would do it. I would probably put something in front of it. I mean, that's the catch. It's the whole old school leapfrogging thing, and I'm trying to think the last time we actually used it. I mean, I remember doing it semi-recently for something.
Is there a chat up? I mean, are people watching the show having an opportunity to chat about this?
I don't know. I walked in the door. I was so late. I walked in the door and just hopped on. I haven't even opened up the YouTube.
Yeah, I'm looking at YouTube and I don't see anything about a chat.
Did we drop the
live?
Yeah, well, we're live on this. We might have just dropped the feed.
People are saying, "Good evening."
Where are you seeing what they're saying?
you click on the link here. Here is a link to the video. You will have to mute that YouTube.
I've already
There's
got
a
it
chat.
muted. I'm looking at YouTube, but I don't see a chat.
It should just be on the right.
I see a chat. Yeah, it's here. Okay.
Yeah,
I see Mary,
they're
Mary's
saying
on
they're
there.
saying words at us, and we're still live. It's fine.
Sorry, guys. Hi, guys. What's up, everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Oh yeah, someone Red Bear 25 was it? He just mentioned that the coin offers, the half price thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody get those offers for $10-ish a coin for $5? Because I saw a few. I didn't take them, but I saw them.
I got
there was
3.
three.
Some people got VXP offers, like for some real ass cheap offers, and I was like, okay, those I kind of like the idea of too. I wouldn't mind seeing those come out a couple times.
Did they get one for $20 and then get the same one for $40?
No, I mean I think it was like $5 for a ton of VXP,
Interesting.
and I think it was for the Inquisitor.
All I remember seeing is Incinerator offers for like there was 25,000 X4 or something for $20, and then you click it over and it was literally the same thing, Incinerator 25,000 X4, but it was for $40. Like you done goofed.
I don't know.
All right. Do we have anything else that's ready for prime time? I see that we've had Kirkland and Black Leather Mom jump on the show.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Hello. Hey. Do you have anything new? Because we've been going for, well, we've only been going for 78 minutes, and some people will get disappointed.
I do have the total fleet.
The what?
Yeah. So does Rum Runner.
So
We spent the last two.
My fleet of 5.
Yeah, because
Can you get her mic up? I'm sorry. Can you get her mic up? Because I can barely hear her.
Let's see. We'll try. All right, now she's at 100%.
Give it a whirl.
I'm trying to get my thing to launch.
There you
Sometimes
go.
I don't want to launch.
I can hear her now.
Yeah, we've been watching.
Anybody ever have an issue with it not wanting to launch when you hit that launch thing sometimes?
Mine wouldn't load at all earlier. Like it was just sitting there. Oh, it wasn't. No, it loaded the game, and I was trying to repair my defense fleet, and it just froze up when I hit repair. It didn't do anything for a while. Yeah, there's been a little bit of
Can't get it to launch.
hesitation and stuff. I mean, look, we tried last night. We tried a whole bunch, and Rum even took 2 builds. I mean, he was like, dude, maybe it's the builds. I don't know. And he refit to builds that I came up. I mean, we came up with 2 of them on the fly and tried them. And I mean, it was still having issues.
Yeah, it's complicated. It hasn't been explained how this all really works.
No.
I guess,
and what I'm saying with the leapfrogging and the special driving and stuff is just my observation from looking at the numbers and seeing poor Rum hitting base after base after base last night. I mean, I just think that's what it's going to end up being. And if it is, there's going to be a lot of unhappy pirates, I think, because it's a skill set that is very, very high set. I mean, like I know what I would have to do. Like I know what I would need to do to use it, but I don't have the skill set to actually drive it the way that it needs to be driven.
Well,
and that's saying I'm pretty sure that's saying something because
Yeah, but also we don't know how it's supposed to be built, because if like we had the conversation about the aura caps and everything else,
right?
We just don't know how to build it based on the stats that we've been given, because they're conflicting or confusing or whatnot. They just need to communicate better in some way. Explain
that I came up with last night. I mean,
yeah, but explain.
You're pretty happy with what?
the two that I came up with last night, I'm pretty happy with those two. I mean, the thing is it's the combination of the 5, and that's what you have to tune. The problem is you have to tune that bloody fleet completely.
Okay, George. How long ago did we get the Liberator?
Months and months ago.
George was young at that point.
Yeah, I was, I could still see.
Yeah, see, that's kind of what I'm sitting here thinking is we all got these boats and we all built them, and yes, they've given us tokens, or allowed us to earn tokens, I should put it. But you can't build something 6 months ago and then try to cobble the rest of the fleet 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 months after that.
Right, and that's part of the whole refitting tuning thing, which is, I think why they're probably talking about a dry dock finally.
I'm dreading the dry dock.
Yeah,
I don't think we have time for that in the show because I really think the people that have been begging for the dry dock
are going to be very sorely disappointed.
Yeah, once all the free tokens disappear and everything else, because it's just going to be the same. I mean, they're not going to lower the demands on us. They're just going to switch it to something else. At least.
That was weird. It said call in.
I don't know. I think that, I mean, I still am of the opinion that they're probably going to split PvP PvE. I really think, because looking at what they've done in the last year.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just looking at the stuff from the last year. I have a feeling that if of all the options that might be available to them, that's probably the easiest one, and that way we'll still have our tokens. And it'll actually try and it's a good idea because it'll actually get people to stop PvPing.
But we won't have because right now, if you win, at least if in a TLC, not true in a raid, so the Pride and what was the other one? As far as the Conquer Halls that you can win in the raid, you don't get a ton of tokens associated with that. But the TLC ones, you can build enough as long as you have the PvE halls to complete the TLCs multiple times. You can build them for free, right? You get enough 6-day tokens, and I mean, who spent money? Who spent money or actual dock time on the Mudgluts?
I have.
Okay, well, I don't know. I might just kick you off the show for that. But
who
go
was
ahead.
That? Was that Korean?
It was only about 2 hours.
Oh,
it was okay. 2 hours. 2 hours. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Just to consider.
Holy cow! Somebody's impersonating me.
Now with all 5. I don't know how good I'm going to do because I said I don't know how to drive these things yet.
Okay, I'll put you on present. Just so people understand, because we spent personally, it was me and Rum and the first night, me and Rum, and I forget who the third person was, because we went through watching him hit multiple bases.
What's going on today?
With the Voltron, and we were confused by the results.
It didn't load.
Yeah, I don't
crashed
know what's
it out.
going on.
Yeah, you crashed it out. That's why.
There we go.
There it is.
Now I'm going to back up because I don't know what that's in that base, and it was going on its own. I would have been in nothing but dead. Okay.
Oh, you're lucky you didn't get dead.
I think it's funny watching the incinerator that the first hit takes 1/8 of its damage away, no matter what it gets hit by.
Yeah. I mean, I've not personally built the entire Voltron setup. I got hit by a mostly Voltron. They had 2 Liberators instead of the full 5. They did not. I'm trying to remember what they did not. They did not have the oppressor, and they had 2 Liberators. He even prepped.
There you go.
He even prepped my base. And only did 31% with 3 dead ships and a very hasty retreat.
All right, so you're not taking much damage here, right?
No, because she's sitting in the right spot.
Yeah.
You can hear Kevin. You hear the buttons in the background clicking. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what's going to be going on with these fleets.
You weren't even listening
Like
to
that-
what I was doing last night.
That,
because
that oppressor.
I was driving 5 freaking 5. I wasn't driving 2. I was driving 5.
So now that Lib's going to go. See, I would have brought something in right behind that Liberator.
And pulled the lid out.
Yeah, you
just
gotta
all
pull
have
the
to
lid
do-
out to keep
All you got to
the.
do is pull
Yeah.
the lib. All you got to do is pull the lib out to the outside lip there, and have something else in front of it, so it starts taking the hits instead of the Liberator.
So now
Outside
she's
lip
got
is
5
on the
votes saying
inside.
that they're going to take Cat more hits.
Yep.
Yep.
Gosh,
then
there goes
he
one
lost
vote that's dead. That's the Survivor, which it didn't survive.
Yeah, and the oppressor took. Yeah.
Exactly. So now the Survivor's gone. Everything else is going to be pinned, defense, weak,
Yep.
and dead,
Yep.
just like happened.
Yep, and I'm not gonna get 50%. I'm gonna lose some cookies on this base, but oh well.
Then you should just let
That's
me.
right. You'll get him back.
I
I've
like
got about
cookies.
80 to get back after the last weekend.
See, I think
bunch of
one of the
cats.
things. Yeah, I think one of the things that Kev might have touched on too is that this fleet's going to take every bit of that 5 minutes that you got.
It's gonna have to be precision. You gotta have great driving and you gotta have great timing just to
Anyways,
get the whole damn base.
Like I said, I'm not very good at driving this fleet. I don't know how to drive it yet. I don't know if it showed you anything at all, though.
Well, we
I
showed
suck
that.
at driving.
Well, it showed that
Minus
you know
14. Wow. Okay.
it shows that some of the deflections don't appear to work the way that we thought they did.
Exactly.
You know, and
That one
It
gets
could
up
be-
14 cookies. I'm joking with them.
yeah, because basically, pretty much most of what's going on is only going to be impacted by critical hits or things that have fire support associated with them, and those are the ones that are going to do damage. I mean, based on looking at what's in the blueprints, and that part's confusing, and maybe that's what happened there. Maybe the fact that because if you completed level 30 of R&D, yeah, you do have
Yeah, all
a
my
12% chance of a
completed.
critical hit already, all by yourself, and the critical hits do double damage, and then therefore should overcome the deflection. I mean, the other issue is the fact that does this new Rivals deflection create a new deflection bypass? And that's something that that we don't know at this point. At least, I don't know at this point.
Well, that's all speculation because nowhere have they mentioned a deflection bypass. But it seems
Well,
like
they've never mentioned deflection bypass, but it's been
No.
part of the game. Yeah.
Deflection override, maybe?
Doing
Doing over the amount of damage necessary to actually cause damage.
No,
that's not
they're
what
not
he's
going to
talking
tell
about.
us they've done that.
So
pass
they don't know.
through.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, Hefe's talking about bypass, like legit bypass.
Like it actually goes through the damn deflection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
the only 2 times they've actually quote unquote admitted to full deflection bypass is Conqueror holes in a PvE, the damage specific. They have clarified that it ain't gonna work the damage specific. It'll bypass straight through it. And the only other thing has been the thorns. So
Well, plasma.
Plasma too, yeah.
well, that's a completely different damage type that we don't have any deflection for anyway. So
Well, that was
Or
the theory.
defense.
That was the theory behind it.
Yeah. Now, personally, I've passed. I've always followed deflection bypass. I mean, I'm not the only one here that's been, banned from the forums, but that was the
Dude,
reason.
I think it's just me and you. I mean, you can just say it. We've been banned from the forums. I mean,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure everybody knows.
But
that
I
we
was asking questions about deflection bypass, and that's when it happened. So I don't know.
What, the smarter you are about this stuff, the faster you get banned, or what?
Probably.
Well, see, mine revolved around I'm not even going to go there. Yeah, never mind. Mine had nothing to do actually with BP, so.
Yeah, it was his appearance. It was his appearance on Pornhub that really threw them off.
Hedgehog Jr.
That Will Harbin mask just they got mad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I thought when you had the unicorn mask on, and
that what did it? Okay.
what you did with the horn was the real problem. Why they got rid of you?
All right, I thought mine was good. You win that one. Shit.
Okay.
But was the Pink Punisher involved? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, but it still hasn't come out yet. The Pink Punisher has not been released, even though people would love for that to happen.
I would tell them just to make a permanent skin.
Yeah.
If they made a pink skin, if they made a pink skin, I can almost guarantee you, like, people would buy the hell out of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
Breast cancer. Why the hell not? I would. I'm dumb enough to buy the damn American flag skins. Why the hell not?
Yeah, especially since you're Canadian. I mean, that's the funny part.
Hey, no,
Hey.
It's about time.
I'm sorry, I don't know you. I'm not sure if you are Canadian, but you do have a moose as your logo, so I could jump to that at some point.
You could jump to that, otherwise I can just hunt it.
Yeah. So, all right. Should we keep on keeping on, or should we go to the after show, or what do people want to do at this point in time?
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know what y'all have covered, so I mean.
Well, I rewinded to some of the stuff that I thought was important as it relates to confusion related to the blueprints. Confusion relates to the whole Voltron effect. And I don't think we cleared anything up personally. I mean, I maybe if Kixeye watches this at times, they'll be like, okay, well, we had all these people on that are supposed to know what they're talking about. And we had 15 minutes of people just looking like they had no idea what was going on. And I was sort of trying to create that. I mean, just to show how
well, dude,
how poor the communication has been.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got me on here. I never know what the hell I'm talking about. So hell, that was easy peasy. Yeah. All right.
Well, that was before you even showed up. But yeah, when it was me and Brian and Daniel, and we all disagreed on stuff as far as what the facts of the game are, and because we need to know what the facts of the game are first. And then we can project on that, project how to use the facts of the game, what's in the blueprints, to project forward and how to strategize. And that's what these shows, I think, should be about, is how to strategize within the game. And if we're all disagreeing over what the simple facts of the game are and like how to tell people how to build this or build that, then things get, you're at a point, I don't know, that you're in the muck. I don't even know what to say about that. It's not a good situation when people that pay attention to the game have no idea what's going on regarding, bloodthirst, rivals bloodthirst, or aura caps. I'm a little bit frustrated at this point with the whole thing, but I've been trying to, just present things for people to listen to as far as where people are.
I definitely would like to see some more information coming out or some clarification, and Rampage might get a hold of this and go, hey, you know what? That seems like a good topic, and might put something out.
Well, yeah, he put the question out, like, where do you get your information on Battle Pirates? Because people, I think the question is, why don't you show up in the forums for information? That might have been
that might have been the nexus of that question.
Yeah, but asking where you go relative to why you don't show up, that's they're two questions.
If they've decided that the forums have turned toxic, right, and they want to know where people go, they can see, or at least go to where they're going and see why, and then maybe, okay, well, why is that working and how come it's not working in the forums? I mean, that's just one of those things that, the nexus, I think the nexus was proper. The question, could lead to several things. I don't know. I haven't talked to him, so I'm not sure, but I haven't even seen the question yet, but I'm just saying if that was the question, then I could definitely see the logical progression to why I would ask that. Like, I would ask the same thing. I would ask the same question if the nexus for my question was to correct my own house.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was alliance, their own alliance, pages. But where are those people getting the information? Because the alliance, the alliance pages are just a combination of player experience and then players either reading the forum or doing other things. I don't know.
Well, here's kind of an odd thing. Not really an odd thing. This is a human nature thing. You're talking about the forums getting toxic. It's an online community. There's always going to be that percentage that's going to be toxic. They're going to complain no matter what. You gave me 100 tokens. Why didn't you give me 105? They're just never happy. But when you have a much higher than normally expected percentage being very negative and turning toxic, that's not normal. Maybe something needs to be looked into. Why are so many people being this toxic, this negative? And
lack of communication and understanding.
Exactly. And if you don't use the insight for yourself, yes, I'm trying to be very positive, Kixai, because I know that y'all look at this. If you're not looking at yourself as the problem, I'll make this analogy short. There was a football team. They were losing, so they changed the quarterback. The next season they lost. They changed the running back. Next season they lost. They changed the offensive coach. The next season they lost. Guess what? The head coach was the problem.
Okay, my main question for that is, the majority of people I see complaining are about the most retarded things. I work 12-hour shifts, 13-hour shifts, whatever shifts I may have to work during a day. My boss decides how many hours I throw in, minimum 8, maximum of 14. I still come on this game. I'm still able to keep up during the raids to the FM, whatnot. I do admit I have spent $200, but that is because I left for 1 whole year because my son has died. And I came back after a year, and then I started playing. I put $200 in during the Apollo raid, came in, and I've been caught up since that $200 spent. I've not spent much anymore. I usually spend about $2 just to get that last part of the campaign that I can't do for free because I lose my tank. But that's just a $2 deposit on a game every other month or whatever it may be. My main question is, why are these people complaining when they're giving out a lot of the shit? I spent 8 million points on a damn Zelos. Why are they complaining about not being able to do PvP when they're giving away all this shit for free? Why can't they defend their base? They're giving tokens, they're giving structure build tokens, they're giving ship build tokens, they're giving a lot of things. A lot of things I wish they would have gave 2 years ago. And a lot of these people that are having the negative feedback, as you said, it's usually the main person. It's not the company. They're trying to help you. They gave away so much shit for free, and I'm kind of pissed about it. They did give away a lot of things for free.
Can I interject?
Please do.
They give away a lot of shit for free that people don't understand. So there's where the people get upset.
Yes, and so why are they getting upset if something is given away for free, especially when you can make such a simple.
There, you don't know how to use it. Even the best minds, whatever you want to call it, even the most informed people that I know of don't know how to use this stuff yet. And we've had a lot of it for 6 months.
And I do have to agree to that because I usually use other people as my test subjects. So usually the major coiners or the major people that make my builds for me, not saying they're my ally or anything, I usually go on YouTube and I look up random people like Price or freaking King Ewok for base hitting. I look at their builds and then I look at what I have. I build what I can until I can catch up in tech, which I'm caught up in tech. I have everything done. And I basically build mine similar, but with a twist of my own thing, because I can't be them. I'm my own driver. So I have to do things my own, but I can take their idea and their driving habits and make it my own with a twist of my own kind of idea. A lot of my builds and a lot of my things nowadays are from me. Yeah, some of them might not work, but guess what? I just look at a video and I can make it work. And then you can kind of copy, but also change. When the 113s first came out and everybody didn't like doing the 113s because they're kind of difficult, I was using a Zelos, a Punisher, and Citadels. I wasn't even using monos or anything. I was just using that without any charged armors or anything on anything. And I took maybe an hour's worth of damage for 110 mil worth of points. It's just, there's a lot of complaining when they give you the things you can do FM. A Punisher and Citadels can do 88s for 9 mil. You can do about 40 88s to get your 350 mil to hit price pool 5, and then work your way to getting all the price pool 5 things to do 113s, and then finish your FM within an hour or two, which I usually do. Which I do have to start my FM. I've been away for work since 6 o'clock this morning. And just got back maybe half an hour ago. But that's all I really have to say on that. A lot of the people that are giving negative feedback, Kix, I already answered to you guys' questions and gave you everything you needed. Yes, they did not explain how to use it, but leave it for people to test it out for you. I'm not saying that use other people. You can also test out things yourself. I was a guinea pig for the icebreakers to see if they can create a fire field. They can't. But yeah, just freaking look at videos and see how things are done. You guys are a great source of information on how, say, bloodthirst or whatnot may or may not work, and then so on and so forth. Look at what other people are doing and find out what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, but some of us are the people that are doing it, that people look to see what we're doing to figure it out. And
So
when
you're-
we have a problem coming up with what the hell's going on, there's an issue.
Well,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
that's when the retort question is, if you find something going wrong, then maybe that person that's watching you can correct what you're doing, but not a lot of people like to say what you're doing wrong, because they can find a different path or a different way to use the ship to make it actually work.
Actually, yeah. That's happened to me several times where I found a way to use several ships and everyone else is like, "Oh, it sucks."
Yeah,
But-
it's all your own person and your own driving is basically it.
But
I
yeah,
see now. So I can understand that you know, and I've said it many times. Other people come up with better stuff, right? Better paths, better builds, all that other stuff, right? I think the problem is that there's no clarity in this,
Well, there
right?
never
They can
is.
give us as many tokens. They can give us 1,000 tokens for building, but if we don't understand the concept that they've actually presented to us, right? Then a lot of people, because you're not going to sit with your shipyard not doing anything and your thumb up your ass waiting for someone to tell you how the hell the damn thing works. You're playing a game. You should actually be able to know on your own how it works. You might not be able to optimize it as well as some other people, but you should be able to at least take it out of the box, play with it, and be able to use it. And that's not what's happening with the rival thing right now.
Well,
I mean, George, is that why we're getting so many tokens?
Hell if I know. I've been gone for a month and a half.
Well, because you have your thumb up your ass the whole time you're doing the build.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
probably uncomfortable. These.
I don't know. Are they giving
That
him
is-
loot that they don't give us? Because usually we're the ones going to screw up. If you just came back after a month and a half, you at least got some rest.
I wish I got some rest. But
But
No, he was still sort of playing. He just wasn't. He wasn't George Speed on the whole everything.
Yeah.
the one major point of them giving us so many freaking tokens would probably be targets are always changing. Bases are always changing. My base alone changes every damn day. I keep upgrading. I keep equipping. I keep refitting. I keep doing shit every damn day. I keep everything moving. The real question to behold is, what the hell is their plan to keep going forward? But they can't really give us all the details because some things have to be left as a surprise for all of us to find out later down the road.
Why?
It's like, are they ever going?
Why? Why?
Why not?
No, why?
I want to
Leave a consumer to wonder why.
I want to know
possible
why.
that you could reload because you're cracking. It's
Me?
And you got a bubbly sound. You sound like you're in a bubble.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
maybe
like
they're
somebody
building
else
a
I
wall.
know.
Who's that?
Huh? Somebody else on a chat showed he was bubbling up a lot.
Oh, okay.
I think what George was trying to comment on was just simply the fact that, we've had so many of these hulls, weapons, specials, insert whatever technology piece you want, and we at least know how it worked with other stuff. Now we've gotten this Rivals, Captain Planet, Voltron, whatever the heck you want to call it. And everything that we have generally learned up to this point is literally being thrown out the window, whether it's because there's something wrong in the code or what. I don't know what's causing the problem, but everything that we've known before, now we're looking at it and we're scratching our head going, wait, this isn't
I think the problem is when everyone starts looking at it as the 5-piece set rather than before. Because, I mean, you can take libs out now and whack the shit out of people.
Oh, yeah, I do it all the time.
Yeah, I don't think...
Daniel, go ahead.
I don't think, bloodthirst never really affected other holes other than, if you had, 3 malices and you had 2 revenges, I don't think they never really stacked with each other to begin with. So if we go by the old what was it called? The Revenge Bloodthirst?
There's Revenge Bloodthirst, there's Tideseeker, there's Ironclad, there's bunches of them.
There's the Alpha Bloodthirst.
They don't really interchange with each other, and then on top of that, I don't think they really go to separate hulls. I don't think, or
you're right. The stacks do go across the same type, but the effects of that stack are only for that hull.
Yeah, it's only for that hull, exactly. So
you're basically saying that the Survivor 21,000 pin is only for the Survivor.
That's in another section of the blueprint. That's at the bottom of the blueprint.
Okay. This is the Bloodthirst only.
2 minutes on a 113 while we're talking.
113s? They still spawn those?
Yeah. They got 3 or 4 of them.
When you coin as much as Kevin does, they absolutely do.
Yeah, I mean, just
bite me. It was for the community knowledge. I think everybody ought to come up with a Rum Runners GoFundMe page so I can buy more rum.
Actually, today when the Forsaken mission started, there was 3 of them right in front of my base, so I just did all 3 of them, and then they started spawn right there. Oh, I did both runs already.
Yeah. What was it, USCF or USF, where the guy lost his scholarship because his YouTube page?
I think it was UCF.
Yeah.
I don't follow sports.
University of Central Florida.
Now that I'm thinking about it, right? I think there is a Bloodthirst that actually did cross over, and it was the Revenge one, because the Revenge one worked on
the Revenge, the Vendetta, the Spite, the Malice.
The Spite, the Fury, the Malice, all that crap. So it's not a mechanic we haven't seen before. It's just the added complexity to that.
Wasn't that like a glitch that happened where the Harlock Revenge bonuses would actually go with every other hull?
No, just other Revenges.
That might have been one of them, but I think the big one was where it prevented the Revenges from taking minimum damage.
Yep.
Or really lowered them.
Mhm.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't taking.
yeah.
It wasn't taking any
It
minimum
wasn't.
damage.
It wasn't taking minimum damage. Yeah. That
Yeah.
made those hulls really good.
Those hulls were exceptionally good. Like there was a very close to broken fleet that you could build with that.
Hmm.
And it had nothing, and that was after they had fixed the minimum damage and everything. That was a fun fleet. I still have that fleet.
No.
I enjoyed it.
Have I seen that fleet?
I don't know. Maybe. You definitely seen it hit people.
Okay.
It was that was a fun fleet. Unfortunately,
Yeah, but
not no more.
but the bloodthirst never crossed over from the revenge to any of the other hulls.
If a revenge hit something and it got a bloodthirst tick, the
shared.
vendetta, the retributions,
Yeah.
the spites, the fury, and the malice would get the tick. Yes.
Yeah, they would get the tick, but they won't get the bonuses.
Well, this one doesn't get the bonuses either.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exactly the same as before.
Yeah, the mechanic's the same.
Hmm.
Or at least it should be. At least that's the way I'm seeing it.
I don't know about the Voltron effect or the together effect.
Yeah, that Voltron effect is the bottom part of those blueprints.
It probably,
Where the hell's my insane?
considering that whatever comes brand new from Kixeye is always broken, I would think that would.
With the exception of Skyfire. I cannot give Raken enough kudos on that fleet.
Okay.
Because the Phoenix has been good, and the Skyfire has been good, but you're right. Short of those two, almost 95% of the rest of the stuff is broken to some extent.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about accelerate on the monolith.
Don't even go there.
I'm putting a half an hour away for us to talk about that.
I can
doesn't
totally
bother me.
see. Okay, I can totally see how people are getting confused with the bloodthirst thing. Because why in the hell would you put field of effect friendly and then affect ships in the bloodthirst area?
Hmm.
Yep.
Where's my damn revenges?
But which one do you think it is, George? Do you think it affects? It's
I don't
five.
I don't think it affects other ships.
Oh, then why do they put a?
That's what I'm not understanding. I have no idea. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes some of the things we've seen like because when we watched Rum Runner hit bases and he would die and we didn't understand why.
Every bloodthirst effect actually does say friendly on ships.
Yeah.
On the other ones, okay. So I'm trying to find one of my old ships to see.
Can I
wonder if they change? I don't think that was there before.
Go to shipyard.
Yeah, max stacks, field of effect, friendly ships, concussive, explosive.
Yep.
Yeah, that's only for the Vendetta. Like I'm looking at the Vendetta, and I don't think that affects ships line was in there before.
You could see all of the Conquerors.
I understand that. I'm saying that I don't think that was in there before.
Oh, okay.
I would have to go and try and find it on the forums. Though someone has a.
Hey George.
Yeah.
Can I mention the possible change in a 113 that I would like somebody else to check out?
What's that?
You may be right.
You used to be able to get the rhinos to target the torp tower in the corner, and I've hit 2 and done them the same way, and they will not come back and fire on that torp tower.
Is the rhinos that coming from the north?
Uh-huh.
Okay, the rhinos are coming from the north, and
Yep.
I haven't been able to verify this. I'm not sure of anything, but I have noticed in some hits that I do in the 113s that the pattern is different for some of the targets that I go in. So I don't know if there's 2 different patterns. I don't know if there's some sort of RNG that goes on when they first come in off of the screen. But there's some wonky stuff that happens with those things with the Zoes once in a while. Because I actually had one hit, I think 2 weeks ago, where they chased me all the way to the front gate, and I was like, what the hell? Like, they didn't stop to get shot by the mortars, and they chased me all the way to the front gate. It was.
I used to be able to draw them back around the side to make them fire on the torp towers.
Mm-hmm.
They are not doing it. They will not fire at them, even though they're in range. As a matter of fact, the Citadels fire over the Torp Tower to fire on that cloaking device. Smog, the fog, whatever you want to call it. They're firing over the Torp Tower, which means you now, if you don't kill the gauntlet, you have to run it to go kill the Torp Tower to come back through.
I don't know. I can tell. I mean, I'll look when maybe I can actually get my FM done this week. Who knows?
Be
That'd
nice,
be nice.
eh?
I didn't even get it done once last week.
Don't get too excited.
You're behind.
I'm pissed. Yeah, I'm so pissed about that.
Well, especially since you preached long and hard about FM.
Yep. All right, where's the bloodthirst on this thing?
Effin. Was it FM or FN?
FM.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I appreciate y'all letting me on the show. I get to vent.
It's all good. You know. It's, you know, because, Rum, you do a good job as far as providing, you know, a message and, you know, information to the community. And that's what it's about. You know, people listen, people want to learn, you know, that's what the show's about.
It's
and you do a really good job of doing that.
I thank you. We try. What are you looking at, George?
I'm trying to find a copy of the old Vendetta blueprint so I can see if it was on there. Because now I'm annoyed. I don't know if it was on there or not.
Oh, look.
What was on there?
That ship's line.
I'm hungry.
Me too. I haven't eaten yet.
Poor Brian.
Where is updates in archive?
Brian, you already got off to go eat, right?
Yeah, I got food. I'm back now. Hi.
But
Was it you that said you were hungry?
You're still hungry. Well,
No,
you know.
No.
Oh, okay. It sounded like
I
Brian. I thought Brian was
somebody
still
say
hungry.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, we assumed
that
it was
was-
Brian.
That was George.
No, it wasn't me. I said I am too.
Yeah, so we assumed you were number one on the hungry train.
But I told you guys in the side chat I left for dinner. Like, what?
Yeah, but still hungry. But again, you've also told us that
All that
you
brain
know,
capacity needs much food.
No. But
It needs much sugar, which is very different.
Yeah. But he's eating fried rice for, you know.
Hey, I had my
You know,
broccoli tonight.
the weird thing is I'm allergic to penicillin and broccoli.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's odd. I'm not allergic to any of the other cruciferous vegetables. Like I'm not allergic to cabbage or whatnot. But yeah, broccoli makes me sick. I'm not
Cauliflower?
Sure cauliflower I love. And I have no issues with. And it took me a long time to realize that I had that issue. I mean, it would, you know.
I think I'm allergic to marriage.
Well, you know, until you get to your fifth or sixth wife, you know, you're not sure.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's good, Hefe. I went through one and said, nah, I think I'm done for a while.
Yeah, number 5 or number 6. Maybe you figure it out. I've never been married. I'm not sure why.
Sounds like you already figured it out.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
What? What did you say?
Have you seen your slides? I've seen your slides.
Yeah, long before that. No,
Nice, Brian. Very nice.
Whatever. No, I lived with women for years, but no, it's the I don't know. I haven't figured out why.
I can't find it.
My sister's never got married either, and she's way cuter than Rum. So I'm not really sure. But I mean, I'm not sure because it's like sometimes like I don't know. It's probably an after show subject.
Could be.
I'm surprised we're still live. I guess we have to hit the union mandated 2 hours.
Exactly. We got to run it through.
Yeah. So now everybody gets a bump from $3.50 an hour to $5.50 an hour.
They weren't okay. FYI, they were not. That used to not be in the prints because, like, I'm looking at the Fury one right now, and it was not in the print.
What were we looking for on the print again?
Whether it said affect
The
ships.
bloodthirst can go to all ships.
Yeah.
The Vendetta does show it on both the bloodthirst as well as the special ability. Bloodthirst.
Right. But
does
what I'm
say field
saying,
effect
what I'm
type
saying,
friendly
I understand that. What I'm saying is,
George is looking at old school, older
yeah.
stuff.
Originally, that line was not in there, which is why I think everyone's getting confused now with the bloodthirst in these, because originally bloodthirst did not have that line that says type friendly affects ships. That was not in the print before, and now it is, and that's why I think everyone's getting confused. So yes, the bloodthirst only affects the ship that has the bloodthirst on it, like. All those numbers, all those numbers just affect the ship itself, not the other ones.
Are you sure about that, though?
And now I am, yeah. I'm looking at this, and yes, they added those two lines for something. I don't know what for.
I'm still not certain, but go ahead.
Which then goes in once more. We have Kixeye Math. Now we have Kixeye English. If it only affects that individual ship, then why does it have a duplicate or a cap of 5?
No idea. All that crap is added into the print. I don't know why.
That class.
So we've already proven a few weeks back that kicks in English, it's a little hit or miss sometimes. What I'm worried about is Kixeye philosophy, which sounds like the question that you just asked. Why can your ships all sink, yet go back to the dock?
No one knows.
That's Kixeye engineering right there.
I'm not driving in anything built by Kixeye.
Well, are you talking about a motor vehicle? Like if Kixeye would build a
vroom vroom.
Would you rather lose the ship?
Vroom, yes.
They're not.
That completely confused the subject.
Would you rather lose the fleet? Would you rather lose the ship and lose like?
To be fair, some boat engines also go vroom vroom.
Yes, if they build a vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom. Okay.
You probably wouldn't buy it.
Will become vroom vroom.
As opposed to like a Mercury 180 or whatever you guys are into. Yeah, you probably wouldn't buy the Kixeye.
Like the ship.
Yeah. But a vroom vroom, I need to bring that up later. That's gonna
the
be
next
fun.
raid prize, the vroom vroom.
Yeah. I mean, the vroom vroom should be a hull, a special. It can't be a weapon, but it's a hull or a special
engine.
The special, yeah. The special is going to be a vroom vroom. I completely agree with that idea.
Just rename the combat speed upgrade vroom vroom.
Yeah. A vroom vroom 1, a vroom vroom 2, a vroom vroom 3.
They don't get better, but the name's there.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, this is better.
I finally found the damn Vendetta one, and of course Larry had it posted up. So thank you, Larry.
Yeah, Larry's in Alaska right now.
Yeah. So yeah, see that this is where the bloodthirst, what it used to say. No, you know what? This is why it has it in it. The Vendetta is why it has it in it. Type friendly, affects ships, range 85.
Yeah.
See, this is, oh my God, this shit's got to get clarified. I don't understand some of this stuff.
Well, and they consider us bitching when we ask about it. At least, they used to. I mean, but I think a lot of these questions are relevant.
Well, yeah, go figure it out. Aren't you smart enough to figure it out? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Spend a lot of coins and then figure it out. Yeah.
Oh, if you can't figure it out, spend coins. Use
We only
these
have
free
20
tokens.
people doing this.
Are they
Oh,
smart
yeah.
enough to design it properly and put it in the game correctly?
Dude, you don't know how many times I've said they need to slow down and make sure every product is 100% with a proper description. So
Effective.
play the freaking game.
I mean, their jobs aren't easy. Like, I don't mean to be making fun of them. Like, coding is pretty hard.
Coding sucks.
Oh yes, I took I think it was just an introductory C course up at Davis for the mech engineering thing, and it was I did not have fun. It was not easy.
My final
What
in one of my
they
classes.
get paid to do.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's what he
and
was
they're going to be
saying, though.
better at it, but that doesn't mean it's easy. But then, I mean, on the other side,
They still have to make it
the
work.
garrison. Can I just say the garrison rate cycle and just
Yeah.
that?
Hey guys, I gotta pop off. It's been fun. I'll talk to you
Bye.
guys later.
Right, have fun.
Bye.
Good night.
See, Brian,
Lord.
I disagree. I disagree. I don't care how difficult it is. You still don't have to release a product until it's 100%. I don't care how difficult it is.
They don't
If
have
it
to,
costs-
but they do.
They do, and we beta test it, and we don't get reimbursed for that.
Wait,
Then
don't
why
we get
in the
beta
hell
testers in a preview server?
Hold on. If we're expected to beta test it, then what in the hell are they doing with these actual, depending on whatever game you want to reference, super testers, alpha testers, the super users, the ones that are on the private server, and then the preview weekends? Why in the hell do they even have that if they're going to keep putting the crap out wrong?
Because the
I'm
only way
sorry
for
to
them to
rant.
continue to make money, I'm right there with you. I go through this rant every time I think about something they put out. That's why I keep saying thank you to Raken. He's probably never listening, for what he did with the Skyfire and the way they react to the targets. This raid worked better than most any other raid I've seen with both the Phoenixes and the Skyfires, and a lot of that is attributed to Raken.
Correct.
Now.
I agree completely. Good job, Raken. Let's make sure
Everything
he knows
else
that.
that's out there comes out broken, like it's a 6-month-old programmer going, hey, let's throw this out and see what sticks. And then let's wait and let the fan base come up and say, oh, well, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And they wonder why we get angry, because there's no description, there's no expectation of use. There's, hey, let's just see what happens. And we'll get them to coin a little bit while we're at it. See, that's rookie programming makers making money.
My one question, or not, it's a little bit of a question. Did was it this show or a different show that they had the guest person come in, and then usually what they have had for previous hauls was an automated system to pick out what the class stats are to be implemented into the game. They come up with the ship and they come up with the stats that they wanted, but the game runs a freaking, what is it called?
Algorithm.
Algorithm, thank you. An algorithm to figure out what the stats would be so it does not break the game completely. But yet it still does fuck up, either giving it too less or too much. Because some fleets do get the better of it, and then they have to go back and fix it because it is way too OP for what we have, for tech that we have right now. And then other stuff, like, say, the icebreakers, for example, was complete and utter shit, so they had to go back and fix it and give it a buff to make it work in the current targets that we have. Which they do kind of work, but they kind of need the luxury item of charged armors on them.
Well,
But,
I take it back to one of the other games that I play. It shall remain nameless. Those who know the game will know the game the moment I describe this. When it comes to testing, they have super users, they have super testers that sometimes work with it on the live server, whatever new is coming in. They then have a complete test server that is open and operating for the average person for a minimum of 4 days every testing cycle before they release a new major update patch. Sometimes they go through 2 and even 3 testing cycles on a test server where the average person like us gets to log in. They get their information that way instead of screwing up the live server with their stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, he goes on. All right. Well, does anybody have anything else that's good for the live show? You know, I was hoping, you know, maybe we could lure somebody into addressing some of these issues, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I got nothing.
You know, don't even see Laredo on today. Where's he at?
Loretta's not one of the people that shows up on this show too often. I'm not a huge fan of the way the mods have been put together recently, and I made it clear numerous times. So yeah, the mods don't show up too often in this show. To be honest, it's my fault. Blame it on me. If you want to see have a Laredo sighting, it's probably not best that I'm around.
Blame the supposed Canadian while you're at it.
Yeah, you're a moose. You know,
Hey.
you know, what am I supposed to think? You know,
Hunting, camel, moose, hunt, meat, food, yum.
There you go. So North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota.
That's okay. You guys don't want to hear what I called him initially one time.
No moose, but Wisconsin.
Campbell might kill me.
What?
Remember that card I put on you one time?
The car?
The card. Birthday card or whatever it was.
I don't remember.
Congratulations, remember?
Oh, congratulations, Camel King, not Camel.
I call him a camel, the actual animal.
Yeah.
No, I've seen, you know, I spent some time in the Middle East. I've seen camels in the wild. But not, you know, I don't know.
Do they ever talk to you? Or have you not got that dizzy?
No, I mean, I've had some issues, you know, especially especially a war-torn area. You know, I did have issues, but yeah, I was not, they were not talking to me.
What?
Okay. Well, I guess I'll paste, oops. Let's see. I will paste the after show link in case anybody wants to join. And it's been great having everybody on. And, you know, I mean, people have dropped off in the last couple minutes. You know, I'll blame that on George. You know, since he's not here. I'll blame him on that. But, yeah, we have the after show if we want to talk about anything else. And yes, and turn off your YouTubes. And thank you, everybody. And until Wednesday. No, Corey doesn't want us to go, but, you know, you can join the show, Corey.
Yep.
Nobody's going to fight you, Corey.
Well, you know, somebody may bite you, but nobody's going to fight you. So, you know, it's all going to be fun, Corey. So you don't even need to have a microphone, you know. Alrighty. And a lot of people don't hear, you know, this show was sort of an experiment, to be honest. I wanted to throw chaos into the mix as far as the fact that, you know, we can't because somebody turn off your YouTubes.
Who is?
My
YouTube is completely shut off.
Yeah, mine is too.
Someone is watching TV.
Yeah, that's some TV in the background. Not mine, though. I'm not even watching it.
Okay. Daniel got bored with us and started watching TV. I figured that out.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
But the sound
I'm
went
always
away at
innocent. I'm
that
never
point.
guilty, so just remember that.
Yes. But, if anybody would like to join us in the after show, we welcome you. We can talk about whatever. And, thanks for joining the show and, observing, watching, whatnot. And I hope you all had a good time. And I'm going to end the show. And I hope you all have a great week. And
Good night, everybody.
we can blame everything on Daniel.